This is like the main reason that relationships fail is people not understanding how to communicate with someone who has a completely different psychology than they do.
If you're marrying this person who you're saying is your best friend, why are you not able to tell that person everything that you would tell your best friend? If you look at the comments of any of the shorts that we did, just a ton of people just clapping back at each other, men versus women, just arguing about, what they believe is right. And besides just the overall concept of being able to be happy alone, I think we need to also understand the differences between men and women.
Yeah, it's so important because this is like the main reason that relationships fail is people not understanding how to communicate with someone who has a completely different psychology than they do. Because it's not just the body, it's really you have a male or a female brain, regardless if you have a male or a female body. And it all comes from, like 50,000 years ago. Our brains really haven't changed from when we were hunters and gatherers. So one of the main things, I think, is for women to realize, or female-brained people to realize, that masculine-brained people are going to want to spread their seed. Men, their only job was to maintain the human race and provide food. And actually, what was much more normal was for men to have a harem. And it was actually more beneficial for the women if the man had a harem of women at the cave or like in the tribe.
Right.
Because there was people dying all the time. So you needed to, the man needed to keep as many people as possible pregnant. And, the gestation period is 9 months. You can only have, a baby once every year or two. So really what happened is that religion came in after a long time and said, men and women get together, get married under the discipline of this religion. And then when they had a kid, that kid would be indoctrinated already into the religion. So it was a good way to recruit people if they encouraged marriage. But before that, it was a free-for-all for men, and women kind of accepted that. But now we're in a society where men are absolutely ridiculed if they have tendencies to be attracted to more than one woman, but it's the only thing that a male brain knows.
Yeah, I think, besides the men being able to run around and do their thing, when you read, so I read the memoirs of Casanova, which is a really good book. And it's interesting because it's about this, lover, the famous lover Casanova, but it's actually one of the most accurate historical records that we have of that time, because he was talking about real life, court politics and things like that during his life. Mm-hmm. So in that, what was really interesting to me is not just, yes, the men were running around doing whatever they wanted, but sex around that time was not viewed the way it's viewed now, even for women. Casanova will be caught in the room of some random, wife of some whoever, and the husband will come in, chase him away, and it would just be like, damn you, Casanova, you fucked my wife again. And that would be it. There would be, and sometimes it would lead to like a duel to the death kind of thing, but they didn't view it the way that we view it. And I don't know if that was because of a lack of accountability in the religion, but I know the religion is what started the whole idea of marriage for sure.
Yeah. And it's not even just that men want to sow their seed. It's literally that sex drive is coming from testosterone, which men have much more of. And even if women are injected with testosterone, our brains do not react to it in the same way. Like men are, and we don't even know why, men are just predisposed to really react to testosterone. And the hypothalamus in men is much bigger, which accounts for sex drive. So men are constantly expecting sex even when they're stressed out. This is another huge thing that I think happens in relationships. So men are predisposed to wanting to spread their seed. Women have less of a sex drive. And then at the end of the night, when men have had a hard day, they think of sex as like a sleeping pill, whereas women just want to go to sleep. You know, they don't want any, that's literally the last thing on their mind.
If they're tired.
I mean, just anything, any level of stress just completely knocks out sex drive for women, but it makes it so men want to have sex even more. So it's like, why? Then there's even women's sex drive peaks at 36 to 38, whereas men is starting to reduce at that point. Like, why? It's really amazing that men and women still get together.
I mean, it's amazing they get together, but that's why why the divorce rate is so high.
Yeah.
But I think a large part of the answer to this problem, right? Because you can't just say, go let your man cheat or something like that. I think a large part of it is that men are not able to be honest about how they feel.
Yeah.
Right. So how many times does a man get into a relationship and it's on the women's side too. They're not honest with each other about if they're looking at someone else, if they find someone else attractive, even to that level. And I know that sounds like, oh, that's, you can't say that to your wife.
Yeah, like it's so
but you
taboo.
should be able to say that to someone that you're spending the rest of your life with potentially, right? So there was this book a few years ago by Brad Blanton. It was called Radical Honesty.
Honesty, right.
And he went too far, just like most of these self-help books do. But the concept was interesting. And I agree with it to a certain degree, right? I think you should be as honest as possible with your partner. He went to the point where he was like, if you're a woman, you should tell your dad the first time you lost your virginity, and that's going to help fix your issues or whatever.
Not necessary.
I don't think this is necessary. I think you should, tame yourself in that regard. No one wants to hear that.
Yeah.
But as far as getting into a relationship, you have to set your standards before you get into a relationship, both men and women. If you're marrying this person who you're saying is your best friend, why are you not able to tell that person everything that you would tell your best friend? Right?
Yeah.
And no one really thinks about this. They get into a relationship and then they feel trapped and they feel like they're just a prisoner in their own little world that they've crafted for themselves, and then they just sit there and they don't leave. And then they go look at other women, on Instagram, on the street. They're just hiding. It's nonstop. Their personalities, the woman never sees the personality. The woman never actually sees who they really are.
And you don't even really see the man as a sexual person anymore because they've completely suppressed their sexuality, And even, it's so funny, like one of the things, like the stupid little differences, is that men have terrible peripheral vision. So they're always getting caught because they can't just casually like check out a girl. Like, if there was like, a man or a woman over there, like I can see them perfectly, but a man will have to like, you'll always see a man darting their eyes and stuff because they have no peripherals and they don't have as many cones in the retina or whatever it is. So they're always getting caught checking out women, adding insult to injury to the fact that women are not accepting that men are sexual creatures.
Yeah. And it's not to say that it's something against, you shouldn't be taking it personally, right? Because you are going to look. Every man looks. Every man.
Women look too.
Women look too.
Probably more than men.
And they definitely talk about it more, I think. Well, maybe not. I think it might be an equal thing from the things that I've heard. But I think there's nothing wrong with it. There's just, you see someone attractive, they're attractive. It's okay to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But women take that personally as like, no, you should only be focused on me. And that repression makes it even worse.
Yeah, because then it goes from something, if you just see it as this primitive brain seeing what is essentially a bag of meat catching your eye.
It's a good way to look at it.
You know, if you recognize it and you talk to your partner as if that's all it is, then they're going to feel that way too. And they're going to feel like, you know, you're my piece of meat that I love. And men actually find, if they love someone, they find them even more attractive. And they actually, like, especially during intercourse, they actually ignore all imperfections and they see it as this person is much more attractive. So if you are going at it in a way that you're just repressing them and saying you shouldn't, like, what does that say? You don't love me. If you're looking at other women, it's completely wrong. And then they're going to start to think that. They're going to start to think, I guess I don't really love her because I'm attracted to other women. But it's not the case at all.
Yeah. I think all forms of repression are wrong in any way, because it always ends up making you want to do the opposite thing. And at the end of the day, no matter how long it takes, whether it's 2 days to 3 years, everyone's going to end up doing what they want to do anyway.
Yeah.
Right. And this is why a lot of the times it ends and it gets to that point where people start to feel trapped because they're not able to be themselves.